If you're an artist and you're making content to promote your work, and every single time you sit down to film a video, your brain goes, oh, I already showed this piece, or I already talked about this, and you're thinking, oh, my followers are gonna think it's lazy, repetitive, they've already seen this piece, they're gonna unfollow me. So you force yourself to either draw something new or come up with a new idea every time you post. That fear of being repetitive is the exact reason that your content isn't gaining any traction. And for the longest time, I had the same problem too. But then I read something from a creator named Dan Ko that completely changed how I thought about this whole thing. He said that the best speakers, the best creators, the best communicators, they all have something called an inner album of their greatest hits. So instead of trying to invent something new every time they open their mouth, they just play one of those hits. And they do that over and over again with slight variations. And that one idea changed the way I think about content. So let me first explain why you feel the pressure to always be original, right? Because here's what happens when you're making content as an artist. You post a video about how to price your commissions or how you got your first sale, and it does well, right? People engage and you feel good about it. And then a week later, you sit down and you film again and you think, I can't talk about pricing again. I already did that last week. So then you come up with something completely different. Maybe you talk about tools, art supplies, or some random trend, and that new video flops because you were reaching for something that you haven't thought about deeply. You're just performing instead of actually communicating. And if that sounds familiar, this is where most artists get trapped in the content game because you're so scared of being repetitive that you end up being forgettable. When I look at my own accounts, it's obvious which topics perform the best. And I'm sure if you follow me, it's probably because of one of those ideas. Because every single day, there are new artists who find this account who have never seen any of those videos. So let's say you have 2,000 followers, right? And you post a video that gets 5,000 views. Most of those views aren't from your followers. TikTok pushed it out to strangers, which means that the majority of people who watch your best video have never even seen anything from you before. So when you make a new video next week about the same topic or the same art piece from a slightly different angle, you're not being repetitive or redundant. You're being consistent. And for the person who's seeing you for the first time, that video is brand new. They didn't know you already said it. And for people who already seen your stuff before, when you talk about those same ideas over and over, they actually start associating you with those ideas. And you become the person who talks about that thing. And that's how you become someone that they actually remember and recommend. Because no one's going to recommend a scattered creator who talks about every single topic. So here's how to actually do this. Just look at your last 20 or 30 videos. Find the 3 to 5 that performed the best. The ones that got the most engagement, the most follows, the most saves. Those are going to be your greatest hits. And instead of not posting them again or running away from the topics that you talked about, actually lean back into them. You can talk about that same core idea from a different angle, a different story or a different example and a different entry point. Your best ideas deserve to be repeated. And that's how people actually find you and remember you. And if you do that for long enough, that's going to be what compounds into a business or a brand. And follow me because I'm teaching the business side that nobody teaches artists. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.